Hi guys! So today I'm going to talk about how to structure your novel. So I'm going to use Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone as examples in this one. If you haven't read the book or seen that movie already, then look away now. Just don't watch. Just go, flee! The first part of a story is optional, and that is the prologue, or you can also label it as chapter 1. Now the prologue should be a backstory or a future story which the reader needs to know in order to understand the rest of your story. In Harry Potter, this is when Dumbledore, Professor McGonagall and Hagrid drop Harry off at the Dursleys' house as a baby. Now J.K. Rowling labelled this as chapter 1 in order to not fall into some of the stereotypes of a prologue, but I'm going to make another video on that because there's so much to go into about prologues and whether or not they're good or bad. But that is the first option for your story. Following on from this, these ones are not necessarily options. If you follow this structure, you will have the generic story structure, which does work, but it also doesn't mean you have to stick to it. Be you. Try anything. If it works out, that's amazing. But if you do get stuck on your structure, this is the general guideline for how your story should be structured. Number 1, the inciting event. So this is something that happens to your character which changes their view or starts the story rolling. So in Harry Potter, this is when he first receives his letter from the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Part 2. The first plot point. The first plot point is the point of no return. This is when your character cannot return to the status quo of their general life. For Harry, this is when he first arrives at Hogwarts. He can no longer unsee the wizarding world. He is now, without a doubt, a wizard, so can no longer go back to a normal muggle life. Part 3. The first pinch point. So in your story, you should have roughly 2 pinch points. A pinch point is to raise the tension and remind your reader what is at stake for your protagonist. So for Harry, this is when the troll enters the dungeon and later goes to the girls' bathroom where it attacks Hermione. This reminds the reader that Harry now has friends, and if he isn't careful or doesn't learn fast enough at Hogwarts, then the wizarding world has consequences, and they're sometimes a bit more extreme than in the Muggle world. Part 4. Midpoint. The midpoint is where you must reveal something new or discover something in the story. It has to change the story's direction in some way. It should also prompt your protagonist from being reactive to proactive, where they decide what they are going to do from now on, and not other characters. In Harry, I can argue that this could be in 2 places, and I'm not sure which one it is. It could be when Harry first tells Hermione and Ron that he has suspicions about Snape, or it could also be when the Nimbus 2000 goes AWOL during the Quidditch match, and then Hermione and Ron believe it is Snape also and believe Harry's allegations. Part 5. The second pinch point. So again, this is to raise the tension and remind the reader what is at stake. For Harry, this is when he sneaks into the restricted section of the library and is nearly caught by Flinch. Part 6 is the second plot point. The second plot point should bring all of the clues you have labelled so far all together, and it is when your characters will start to have a full-on plan for how they will stop whatever the climactic event might be or what they perceive it to be in your book. So in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, this is when Harry finds Voldemort drinking the blood of a unicorn in the dark forest. He is no longer in any doubt that Voldemort is coming back. He believes he is after the Philosopher's Stone, and he believes Professor Snape is helping him to get into Hogwarts to get that stone. Number 7. The climax. Now this is a part of the story that we will all be very familiar with. It is when you cannot physically put the book down, where you stay up all night just to finish that one book because you need to get to the end. So the climax is when your character either succeeds or fails. Everything must now come together and they must be pushed to their limits and use anything that they have learned throughout the rest of the story. So for Harry, this is when Harry, Ron and Hermione get past Fluffy and then find Professor Quirrell and the Philosopher's Stone. If you want to go more specific, you can go into Part 8, which is the climactic moment. This is the moment that your character either succeeds or fails. So for Harry, this is when he defeats Professor Quirrell. And finally, we have the resolution. Your resolution should only be a maximum of 1 to 2 chapters, and it is there to tie up every last loose end in your story. and to tell the reader how the character will have a happily ever after, or to hint at another book in a series. You must round off everything, except if it's a series and you have some tiny foreshadowed hints, like the Horcruxes in Harry Potter's case. You can leave those, but if it's something the reader definitely knows about, you should probably answer it now. So in Harry Potter, this is when Gryffindor wins the House Cup. Even though it's not the main part of the Philosopher's Stone story, all of the characters in Harry's team all want to win the House Cup. So it's an underlying goal that they've had from the beginning, and now during the resolution, they get that goal and they have succeeded. The list is here, guys. Remember it: prologue, inciting event, first plot point, hinge point, midpoint, pinch point, second plot point, climax, climactic event, and the resolution. These do have certain parts of the story they could be in, but they honestly don't need to be exact. So for example, your first plot point should be at around 25%, the midpoint 50%, and the second plot point 75% of the way through your book. But do not page count or word count to find that exact percentage, okay? It is a rough guide of where they should be. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful to you. If you want to see more of my writing tips, please click the subscribe button below. If you want to see as soon as I upload, you can ring that little bell. If you have any questions on writing, please comment down below and I will try to answer them as well. You can also go to my website if you would prefer to see these tips in written format. The link is below. And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr, where I post general bookish pictures and my writing tips go on there, as well as you can see when I upload if you haven't clicked that little magical bell at the bottom there. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye!